Good afternoon, cult members, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And welcome to our trailer reaction for House of the Dragon. This is the prequel series that we're getting from HBO, from Game of Thrones. George is actually directly involved with this one a lot more than what the other one was with Dan and Dave. So I'm interested what this is going to show us. Matt Smith in a blonde wig. That's all I really want to see.
Well, we've seen pictures, but
Right. So here we go. House of the Dragon. And go. It's blonde.
Mm-hmm.
Gods. Kings.
and
Targaryen Legacy Sword.
Fire. And blood.
Yes.
Dreams didn't make us kings. Dragons did.
A lot more swords there. Fall, probably, maybe. Get HBO Max today, or HBO Plus Max of the most Maximus of the pluses.
So I didn't realize that's the girl from Ready Player One, right? Not Percival. Right there. There's a picture.
Yes. She played Artemis. And I cannot remember what her real name is, so I find that interesting. That's yeah.
She's obviously not a Targaryen because she is not blonde
and very red hair. And she's holding. I've seen some things today. I've tried to avoid some stuff, but there's a couple of Valyrian steel daggers and swords, and it might be where I have the YouTube algorithm has the next video is new Rockstar's breakdown of the trailer,
right.
And it could be the Valyrian steel dagger that
stabs Bran
that Arya ends up having to use to kill the Night King and
right.
stuff like that,
right.
Which would be a nice little follow this kind of follow the White Rabbit essentially with the dagger, but there's a lot of that kind of stuff with swords, specifically in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and the chair,
and the chair,
and the throne.
Yeah. This is gonna be based off of the book that George R. R. Martin wrote. James, David, whatever the fuck his name is. That everybody wanted the continuation of the Game of Thrones series, and George went back and wanted to tell the story of the Targaryens.
Right.
And the book itself, if I remember correctly, is more of a in-universe cataloging of the story of the Targaryens.
Yeah.
Which
J.R.R. Tolkien did do with the Lord of the Rings. There is a book, and I don't remember the name of it, that's really just and so-and-so begot so-and-so begot so-and-so.
Saladrin, something like that. It's something like that.
Yeah.
And so George was hugely influenced by Tolkien.
Right.
So
it makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. I find it interesting that not going forward with the story of Game of Thrones, but going back and kind of showing the Targaryens, because the Targaryens are essentially wiped off the map before before the Game of Thrones, the series and the books really happens, and so to go back and kind of tell this mysterious tale of this house, I find very interesting that they decided to go that way and not go...
I think it makes total sense, because as the series unfolded, because George, only wrote what, 2 or 3 books, and then the series just surpassed everything he wrote because he was off being a big star. Too busy to keep writing.
Not mad.
So, as all that happened, the story or the intrigue about the Targaryens kind of unfolded, probably not on purpose, probably just, organically as
Yeah.
they're telling the story, like who are these people? Who were these people? And that, you get little snippets here and there throughout the Game of Thrones, but it is an interesting story. I think the Game of Thrones, that story is over, right? Are you going to pick up? You're not going to, you're just going to get a bunch of backlash from fans who are going to be like, you're not telling the same story and and it didn't end the way I wanted it to. And I want you to go back and redo that whole thing. And to just, it's still in the same universe and it's going to feel like Game of Thrones because there are characters you have heard about.
Right.
But they're stepping far enough back from all of that to give people something new but old.
A lot of that too is a lot of people just really love were pulled into the show itself and the story because of dragons. There's cool sex scenes and dragons. That's what the initial pull for people into the show, and then you start getting into the political intrigue that is going on for the Game of Thrones itself, and then you have you start having these compelling characters that you actually really care about, who are. Everybody is morally gray in the show, except for maybe Jon.
Yeah.
Jon's about the only purest person, and he's like a darker white than he is. He's a lighter gray than everybody. But everybody, so you're continuously asking yourself, who is the good guy or bad guy of this series? And so once everybody got into that, like what you're talking about, people were very upset with the way that the final season ended. I personally loved the way the final season ended. It needed to be 2 more episodes, but they laid everything. We've gone through it 3 times now, and I want to go through it again. And they lay everything out over 8 seasons, 7 seasons. But
they lay it out in the first season,
and they lay it out. They lay it out in the first 20 minutes of the first episode.
It's all right there.
But the idea of this long form, slow burn storytelling is really missing right now within the lexicon of fandom of storytelling. The Expanse is kind of doing it, but it's coming to an end, and there's not really something like Y: The Last Man that we really love is slow burn storytelling, but it's not. There's not dragons involved,
Right.
And so,
well, this is different because it's HBO. They can get away with more. So they're not, it's not network TV or even cable TV, who can sometimes get away with a little bit more than network TV, but still not to the extent that HBO, Showtime, Cinemax, those can, they can say and do
Netflix,
and show
Amazon,
whatever they want.
Kind of like those.
Yeah, I think even Netflix kind of tries to shy away from a lot of that, but
kids
can
Amazon doesn't care.
No,
Amazon doesn't care.
in more ways than one.
Right. That's a political conversation we can have for a different time. I like the general idea of what they showed us. Here are things that you remember of the show.
Yeah.
All the blonde hair, the hand of the king.
The very first scene, them walking through the crypts with a torch. It's very, very...
And they showed the skull, probably, cannot, Viserion? Was the dragon that Aegon rode into battle to help Aegon the First. Was it that one? I can't remember what the name of the dragon was, but the skull is in King's Landing,
right? And
so you have that little thing. You have the hand of the king. Here's an important sword. Here's an important dagger. Here's what all the Targaryens have. Blonde hair, so you definitely know it. But there's a ton of them instead of the dark hair that you get from the Starks. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of
or the blonde of the Lannisters.
Blondes of the Lannisters. So you get a lot of the visual cues, but then you also get, you get more of you see the Targaryen heraldry instead of the Stark heraldry or
Yeah.
the Lannister heraldry and stuff like that. And so,
And new characters.
and
so,
new characters.
It's old but new. Like
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
it's all full.
I think and just this is just being a tease. HBO dropped a bunch of stuff today of like little teases. They did Peacemaker, they did this, they did a couple other shows that they have coming. Just to like, hey, remember 2022? We got stuff coming.
Yeah.
And this was, I think, this for at least for us is probably the biggest thing that's going forward outside of the Lord of the Rings thing that we're getting from Amazon storytelling,
Which we've
long
seen
form,
nothing
which we've seen nothing from.
So
Which that one will just drop one day, and we're gonna be like,
probably.
But I like what I'm seeing, at least as a reminder, like, hey, this is coming, and I got what I wanted out of this, which was Matt Smith and a blonde wig. So I'm totally all over that. Anything else that you want? I'm sure there's we'll go watch new Rockstars breakdown, and it'll have all the stuff that we missed. But that is our thoughts and our reaction to House of the Dragon, the newest Game of Thrones prequel series coming to HBO Max in 2022. Thinking fallish probably would be kind of the makes sense. The schedule's all messed up and they're having to reorganize everything. So let us know what you thought of this trailer and our reaction to it in the comments down below. Please be nice. That's a requirement around here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, follow us on all the social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And until next time, cult members, good night, good afternoon, good evening, good day, sir.